By the early 1990s, East Asia had been so wildly successful at liberalising its economies, its growth had become known as the East Asian miracle. Yet by 1997, East Asia would experience the worst economic downturn the world had known since the 1930s. It underlined the contagion that's inherent in uncontrolled globalisation. Before the 1990s, Thailand had strict controls on how much money banks could lend for real estate investment. Then, Thailand gave in to the IMF demands and rescinded these regulations. Skyscrapers sprouted like mushrooms after a monsoon rain. Soon, capacity was reached and builders defaulted on their loans. The housing bubble burst. In 1997, foreign investors panicked and withdrew their funds from Thailand. The baht plummeted, the Thai stock market crashed, and the economy collapsed.
International capital mobility can be destabilising if it goes into countries whose financial systems are really not very well developed. And that's what happened in the Asian financial crisis.
South Korea had grown since the 1950s, essentially without foreign investment, because it used the savings of its citizens to finance growth. As in Thailand, the IMF and US Treasury put pressure on South Korea to deregulate its financial sector to permit foreign investment. By the mid-1990s, South Korean firms began to borrow heavily from US banks. But in late 1997, rumours began to circulate on Wall Street that South Korea was in financial trouble. Entirely unfounded, the rumours became a self-fulfilling prophecy as capital flew out of Korea. As soon as foreign banks cut off credit to South Korea and Thailand devalued its currency, the contagion spread to other East Asian nations. Losses from investments, defaults, and contracting trade brought Thailand's neighbours down with it. In response, the IMF put together a bailout loan of about $95 billion, in theory, to back the Thai currency with sufficient dollar reserves and stabilise the exchange rate. However, most of the loan was used to service Thai debt to foreign banks.
Of course, these packages end up, to some extent, rescuing private lenders from the consequences of their own actions.
The loans also came with conditionalities, raising interest rates, draconian cutbacks in government spending, and increasing taxes. By 1998, the disease had spread to Wall Street, and the New York Stock Exchange nosedived, as did exchanges in Europe and other parts of the world. Only after riots erupted in Indonesia did the IMF allocate money for food and lift the ban on government help to the poor.
It used to be that if you had the IMF program, you had the seal of approval, markets would always react positively. That's not the case anymore.
The IMF's policies both initiated the East Asian crisis by forcing capital market liberalisation and exacerbated it by enforcing policies which worsened the situation. The crisis shook confidence in the IMF itself and supported the case that economic globalisation has actually increased international instability.